Hi everyone, your pal Ral, here with another vlog. So, I just finished season 3 of My Hero Academia. Really enjoyed this one, it was a really good one. And like I did with the first 2 seasons, I'm just gonna be doing like a little recap slash review of this season. So, of course there's gonna be spoilers and whatnot, but yeah. Now first, like overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this season. Of course, it focused on other characters besides just the main character Deku. And yeah, very enjoyable. Very fun to watch through. Anyways, with that, let's just gotta start on the recap. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible, though the last time I did a recap, it was like half an hour long. I don't know. I have also a notepad document like here on my computer, just because there's a lot of things that happened in the season, so like trying to remember this like off the top of my head would be very difficult. But yeah, so the first episode, it's just a little recap episode of the second season. For some reason, like the students, they're in a class swimming pool. I don't know. But right after that, it leads right into the field trip arc where both students of Class 1A, Class 1B, they go out into the wilderness to develop their quirks and their like overall skills. So the people that own like that plot of land like out in the middle of the woods, it's this hero team called Team Pussycats. They're people that dress up as cats. There's 4 people in the team. One of them can control the ground around them. One of the members has telepathy. One of them is like a really buff dude he's really chill. And then the other one, I honestly can't remember. But yeah, there's that. And also there's a little boy that's related to one of the members who just doesn't like heroes because his parents died. His parents were heroes and like they died in their line of work, because that happens. But yeah, both classes start training. Class 1A, they start training first because they make it to the training grounds. They make it there first. Class 1B arrives, and then the League of Villains shows up. They attack the place. They use like some kind of like pink gas thing to knock some of the students out. And there's also a few notable members. First off, the hand dude, Shigaraki? He's not there. He's off just chilling. But some of the more notable members that attack, there's like this crazy girl that really likes blood and has like some kind of weird crush on Deku. Then there's some guy that has like 2 personalities, and then there's Mr. Magic Man. Also there's a guy that can make like blue fire. But yeah, Mr. Magic Man is also, he's important towards the end of this arc. Also there's a really huge like muscly dude. I think his name is Muscular. Anyways, they end up attacking all the students. The little kid, his name is Kota. He's like off brooding somewhere, and then one of the villains, like Muscular, shows up to, I guess, attack the little kid or whatever. But then Deku shows up, which leads into one of the more notable fights of the season, Deku versus Muscular. Muscular, he's basically like super strong, and he nearly wipes the floor with Deku. But then Deku, right as he's about to lose and like about to die, he powers up his body with his quirk and does an attack that he calls 1,000,000% Delaware Detroit Smash. Kind of like how All Might has attacks based off the United States. And yeah, he wins that way. I don't think he's actually like using 1,000,000% of his power. It's just like adrenaline rushing through him as he's like dying, because I think like that's the thing that actually happens with people, like when they're like in danger, they use up like a lot of reserves in their body. I think that's a real life thing, I think. But yeah, so Deku beats him. Then he goes to save or help out the other students. Also, the guy with the Dark Shadow quirk in Class 1A, he loses control because like this is all happening at night, and his quirk gets more stronger at night, but also it gets like the stronger his quirk gets, like the more uncontrollable it gets. So like that happens. So that's a notable thing. But yeah. And Yaoyorozu, the girl who can like create things with her quirk, she puts a tracker on one of the Nomus that the League of Villains has because she thought ahead. It's like, oh, I can track these if they retreat. And the main reason the League of Villains is there is to kidnap Bakugo, which they succeed in doing. So yeah, Bakugo is kidnapped, and that's pretty much the end of the arc. It ends on a bit of a depressing note because like the League of Villains kidnapped someone, like they kidnapped a kid. So the media is all up in arms about that. So after that arc ends, Deku, he's hospitalized after the fight with Muscular and just like overworking his body afterwards after that. And some of the students, Kirishima, who's the student that can like harden his body, and Todoroki, they're like, oh, we should rescue Bakugo. And Deku's like, huh, yeah, sure, let's do that. Pretty much everyone else in the class, though, they're against the idea because technically they're not allowed to use their quirks because they're just students. Like, they can only use their quirks like when they're like training in class and whatnot. They don't have licenses, which I'll get into later. But yeah, Ida, he is very against it after what happened in the last season with the hero killer, because he learned his lesson there. But he eventually joins up just to make sure Deku, Kirishima, and Todoroki don't actually get into any fights, which they don't. Like, they don't get into any fights at all. And Yaoyorozu also joins up because she placed the tracker. And also, as that's going on, the various pro heroes like All Might, Endeavor, Gran Torino, like they're planning a rescue operation for rescuing Bakugo. So yeah, like the heroes, they find out the location of where the League of Villains are, which is like some kind of like obscure bar, like in a dark alley or something. And the League of Villains, they're also trying to like recruit Bakugo. The reason why they kidnapped him is because Bakugo, he's a very violent person. But Bakugo, he's, despite like his attitude and like how violent he is, he's still a good person. Like, he wants to be a hero, he doesn't want to be a villain, so there's that. But yeah, and the heroes, they do that. The tracker that Yaoyorozu put on one of the Nomus, the kids follow where that leads to, which is actually a factory where I guess Nomus are being created. So there's that, and also some heroes end up there as well because Yaoyorozu gave the heroes a tracker first. But yeah, so the heroes, they show up at the League of Villains place, and they also intercept the hideout of, or the Nomu factory. And they nearly succeed in their plan, like to rescue Bakugo, but at the very last second, like All For One shows up at the factory. All For One is like the main villain, the main mastermind behind the League of Villains and whatnot. He shows up at the factory, nearly wipes everyone out there, and the kids, like Deku and all of them, they're like off in the sidelines, like just they're scared because, wow, he's strong. Very, very strong. And as he's doing that, he's warping Bakugo towards him, and like everyone in the bar, like all the villains in the bar, away from the heroes. So yeah, there's that. And then we get to one of the most amazing fights in the series, which is All Might versus All For One. Because All Might, he jumps into where All For One is. Also Gran Torino, he's also there, but he doesn't really do much. But yeah, the two fight. The kids, they also end up rescuing Bakugo. They don't fight any of the villains, they just rescue him, which is nice. It allows All Might to focus on the battle between him and All For One. And in the middle of the battle, All For One ends up showing like the entire world All Might's weakened form, because up until that point it was kept secret. All Might also mentions that the hand dude, Shigaraki, is actually the grandson of the person that gave One For All over to All Might, which kind of rattles him a bit. But All Might, he's pretty much losing at this point because like he's in his weakened form and he's barely like standing up. But he then attacks All For One with the greatest, one of the greatest things I've ever seen in in like any anime series, which is the United States of Smash. Oh dang, that was incredible. It was very amazing. And he ends up beating All For One with that. But with beating All For One and basically using up the last of One For All inside of his body, now that All Might basically like beat All For One and lost all of his powers, he basically retires from being the #1 hero. So yeah, and that's the end of that arc. Basically the end of the arc, actually, like that was the climax, but the end of the arc, it's basically saying how the staff of UA High School, they want to move all the students into dorms to keep them safer from kidnappings, villain attacks, at least theoretically. Who knows, that could happen in the future. It hasn't happened yet, but there's that. So the teachers at UA High School, they have to go to like all the students to ask for permission. And Deku's mom is initially against it just because she's seen Deku like injured so many times, and she understandably doesn't want her son to get hurt. So she is at first initially against it, but then comes around to having Deku continue going to school. And yeah, then Deku moves into the dorm. Also, there's a really heartwarming scene where Deku and All Might, they meet at the beach where Deku first started training, and they have a little emotional moment because All Might basically says that he's gonna devote himself to teaching Deku now that he is basically all he can do is basically teach at this point. But yeah, that was a nice little heartwarming scene. So the next arc, it's something that I hinted to earlier. It's where the students aim to get their licenses or their provisional licenses to use their quirks and whatnot. And that arc starts off with all the kids like showing off all of their dorm rooms, except for Bakugo, because he thinks that that's silly, and the little dude with like the sticky hair, Mineta, I think is his name. They don't show his room because he's creepy. But yeah, we learned about the provisional licenses, which is like I said before, it's where students, if they have a provisional license, they can use their quirk how they see fit, almost as if they're like actual heroes. But I mean, of course, there's probably like still restrictions and whatnot, but it allows them to use their quirk more, like it gives them less restrictions when it comes to using their quirk. So after we learn that, the students in class 1A, they start training, they start learning ultimate moves for the exam for the provisional license. And ultimate move is like a bit of a misnomer, because it doesn't exactly need to be like an attacking move. It could be one like where someone like restrains someone, kind of like what the Gene hero, Best Genist, his ultimate move is like using his quirk to restrain like a bunch of people at once. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like an attack or anything, but still, like all the students are doing that. And this is where Deku, he develops a new skill, because after the battle with Muscular, his arms got wrecked even more than before. So he can't really use his arms as much, so he learns to use his legs. And that's when he develops a new style called One For All Full Cowling Shoot Style. I mean, full cowling, that's like where he uses a little bit of One For All's power, like, and spreads it all throughout his body, like, but now he's using that to further develop using his legs, which is pretty neat. That sets him apart from how like All Might basically punches things, so that sets those two apart. But it's really cool that we get to see Deku do that. And then after that, we move on straight to the actual license exam. And there's a lot of different high schools there aside from UA High School, which I still don't remember what UA stands for. I don't know. But the main one that we see besides UA that we get focus on is a high school called Shiketsu. It's another top high school for heroes, apparently. Like, it's like on the other half of Japan, I think it's like on the western side or the eastern side, while UA is on the other. I don't know, but the first exam, it's I guess like a target hitting thing. Like each student, there's like 1900 students or something. They're given 3 targets that they have to place like all throughout their body. It can't be like obscured or anything. It can't be like on the soles of their feet or in their armpits. It has to be like visible. And then they're given 6 balls to throw. And if all 3 of your targets are hit, you're out. So yeah, everyone in class 1A passes that. We get to see a bunch of students like cooperating with each other that we haven't seen before, which is really cool. And yeah, like I said before, everyone in class 1A passes. Also, in Shiketsu High School, there's this girl with like blonde hair, I think, who's just acting really weird and flirtatious with Deku, which is a thing that I'm gonna get back to later. But yeah, everyone passes, and then I think after the first part of the exam is when we, for some reason, just cut to a filler episode. Yeah, there's a filler episode in between the first half of the exam and the second half. The filler episode, it takes place between the second and third season, and it's actually supposed to lead into the movie, which also takes place between season 2 and season 3. I still really want to see the movie, but I'll talk about that later, I guess. But yeah, it's like just a neat little exercise where four or five of the students have to like solve a mystery or something. It was a nice little lighthearted episode, but yeah. And then after that episode, we go straight back to the provisional license exam, to the second half of it, which is like, it's an exercise where where the people that passed, out of the 1900 people that were taking the exam, only 100 students passed. So they cut out a lot of students. But again, everyone in class 1A passed. The second part of the exam, it's I have it listed here. I don't remember what it was actually like called in the series, but I have it listed as a mock civilian rescue operation. There's a whole bunch of people acting as like civilians that need to be rescued and whatnot, and all the students end up working together, whether like they're from different high schools or whatnot. Like everyone ends up working together to help people. Bakugo is a jerk, which actually plays into something later. There's a hero group called Team Orca Gang. I don't know, but they're acting as villains, so everyone taking the exam has to like focus on both fighting and rescuing people. And there's one of the students from Shiketsu High School. He has like wind powers, and apparently he has beef with Todoroki, so like they're trying to fight the leader of the Orca gang, and they're like just getting in each other's ways, which also plays into something. But yeah, that happens. Nearly everyone passes the exam, except for a few people. I think like four or five people fail the exam, and those people, there's Bakugo, because he was being a jerk to the civilians that he was rescuing. Todoroki fails because him and the wind dude, who also failed, they were too focused on each other, and like just they were getting in each other's ways and not being effective in what they were doing. And also that creepy flirtatious girl that was flirting with Deku, she fails. But then it's also revealed later on that that girl was actually it wasn't actually a student from Shiketsu. It was someone transformed as that student. It was the crazy girl from the previous arc, the field trip arc, who was like obsessed with blood. Apparently she transformed into a girl from Shiketsu. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, Bakugo fails, Todoroki fails, and they end up having to take remedial classes later on, because yeah. So after that, when all the students are back at their dorms, just like celebrating the fact that they got their provisional licenses, Bakugo, he ends up confronting Deku, because like, hey Deku, let's talk about your quirk outside. So they do that. They meet up where they first fought, like in season 1 during the hero and villains exercise. Like they meet up like right outside there, and yeah, Bakugo, he's like, hey, did you get your quirk from All Might? Because I've been piecing things together after like what happened with All for One and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure you got your quirk from All Might, especially since you said you got your quirk from someone like in the first season. So Deku's like, and then that leads into a really good fight in the series, which is Deku versus Bakugo. It's a fight that I've heard about like ever since I told people I started season 3, and like they've just been saying, oh, like there's a thing with Bakugo later on that's really cool, and it was really cool. So the reason like Bakugo is fighting Deku, like there's a lot of reasons. Like first off, he's upset that Deku is just getting so much better like in like such a short amount of time, when like back when they were younger, Bakugo was like always ahead of Deku and whatnot. So that kind of is a sore spot for him. But also, we learned that ever since All Might retired, Bakugo, he's been blaming himself for it. Like, because he admires All Might almost as much as Deku does, like for different reasons. Like Deku, he admires that All Might can always rescue people with a smile, and Bakugo admires that All Might always wins, like whenever he's in a pinch. So yeah, the two end up fighting. Deku, he ends up being able to use up 8% of his quirk, so he gets a little bit stronger just from that. And there's one really cool scene where like you get to see like Deku do like some really fancy footwork followed into like a spin kick, which that was animated really, really nicely. And then Bakugo, he ends up winning. Like they have like a little mid-air clash, which ends with Bakugo catching Deku and propelling both of them downwards and slamming into the ground. And yeah, Bakugo ends up winning. Then All Might shows up, and All Might, he basically tells Bakugo about his quirk and how he passed it down to Deku. And so now Bakugo is in on it. The three have like their own little, hey, we know a thing. But yeah. So Bakugo, he does end up getting some character development, which is always good, because first 2 seasons I wasn't really a fan of him. But yeah. And because Deku and Bakugo were fighting, they were fighting like way past curfew anyways, and even then they still weren't allowed to like use their quirks like that. They end up getting in trouble and placed under house arrest. Deku is under house arrest for 3 days, and Bakugo for 4 days, because Bakugo started the fight, and I think he landed the first hit too. But yeah. And then the next episode, the person with like the split personalities, he starts talking about how villains have just been more active since All Might retired, which is, I guess, is to be expected because All Might was the symbol of peace. So yeah, but we get to see a little bit of the perspective of villains in that. We also learn about things called hero work studies, which they're basically the next step above heroes doing internships. Like hero work studies, students would actually work as if they were actual heroes, and not like an intern, I guess. But yeah, we learn more about that, and how students can do like more hero work in public. And then the last episode, we meet the big 3 of UA, which are like the 3 top students. And yeah, there's a guy that looks like Sasuke from Naruto. There's a girl with like really like floofy purple hair, or is it pinkish purplish hair? And then there's Buff Lucas. I'm not gonna remember their names, but Buff Lucas, he is buff and looks like Lucas from Mother 3. So they have experience doing hero work studies, so they talk to Class 1A about it. And then Buff Lucas is like, hey, let's fight all of you from the class. I want to fight all of you. And then he ends up wiping the floor with everyone, because yeah, his quirk lets him like just go through things, and he uses that to his advantage. And he basically tells everyone, like, hey, this through my experience, like doing work studies and just in general, I use my experience to like learn my quirk to its fullest because he does that. And also, he ends up naked because his quirk also makes clothes pass through him. But yeah, he ends up wiping the floor with everyone in the class except for Bakugo, who's not there, and Todoroki, who doesn't fight. But yeah, so Buff Lucas, he's a fun character. I like him a lot. But yeah. And then the end of that episode, which is the last episode of the season, ends with a new villain meeting up with the League of Villains, and that's basically the end of the season. It's, I guess, tying into what's going to happen in season 4. But yeah, I really enjoyed season 3. The fight between Deku and Bakugo was incredible. Same with All For One and All Might. I really enjoyed those fights. Seeing all of the characters get more development was always nice. Even seeing like some focus on Class 1B during the field trip arc was really cool. I mean, there's a lot of characters in the series in general, so like seeing everyone like get some time to shine is always neat. But yeah, season 4, I don't know when that comes out. I think I know it comes out sometime this year, but I don't know. But I'll be watching that now. I'll be able to like watch with everyone else, so that's neat. I'm glad I'm caught up. And also there is the movie. I think it's called Two Heroes. That's another thing I want to watch. I don't know if it's available in the US. I know it aired in theaters like last year, but yeah. When I get around to watching that, I'm gonna do like another one of these recap review things. But yeah, My Hero Academia, I really enjoyed so far. I can't wait for the rest of the series to come out, because I think the manga is pretty far ahead at this point. But yeah, whenever season 4 comes out, I'm really excited for that. I think that's pretty much gonna be it. I think I did an alright job recapping season 3, but whatever. It was fun to watch, and again, I can't wait for season 4. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time for another vlog. Later.